And welcome back to this special edition of News Channel 3 Live at 5. President Obama formally announced tonight the end of U.S. combat missions in Iraq.
This comes more than 7 years after American troops and coalition forces invaded Iraq, launching Operation Iraqi Freedom. Tonight, we have reaction from a desert soldier who served 2 tours of duty in Iraq. News Channel 3's Philippe Chagall is in Bermuda Dunes right now, their live mobile newsroom, with Captain Dennis Sadorra. Philippe, what does he think about this?
Well, it was certainly an emotional speech for him. Following the 9/11 attacks, Captain Dennis Sadorra joined or transferred from the U.S. Air Force to the Army because he wanted to fight overseas. He joins us now live here. Thanks a lot for inviting us into your home. You saw the president's speech. He said that the commitment to Iraq continues after this. Combat forces may be leaving, but not the commitment from the United States. What did you think of what the president said?
I think there's a couple of really great things that he said. Is one, knowing that our troops are coming home. Very proud of all my guys that were there and serving alongside with them. It was a great service, and knowing that everybody's coming home, that's good. It's good to know that. And the second thing is, you know, the focus is now back here on the U.S. I think ending that war and focusing on issues here at home, I think that's a good move, and I really appreciated the speech, and it really is really good to hear him say a lot of things that he did.
Your first tour was in 2005. Then in 2008, you returned. You were part of the surge in troops. You also helped train some of the Iraqi soldiers. Are they ready to take over the country?
From my experiences over there, from what I'd seen, yes. There was a lot of operations where it was handover. We trained them. We were just standing back and letting them take over at that point, whether it was, you know, security, whether it was convoy operations, whatever operations they were going. There was a lot of great things they were doing, and I thought I was impressed.
Thanks a lot for your time, Captain. Captain Dennis Sadorra, also a school counselor at Hoover Elementary School in India. Obviously, now the focus turns to Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan for the United States military forces. Reporting live in Bermuda Dunes, Philippe Chagall, News Channel 3 HD.
Okay, and of course, Philippe, we'll have more reaction from the captain coming up at 5:30 over in Fox 11, also tonight at 6. Thank you, Philippe.
President Obama formally announced tonight the end of U.S. combat missions in Iraq.
This comes more than 7 years after American troops and coalition forces invaded Iraq, launching Operation Iraqi Freedom. Tonight we have reaction from a desert soldier who served 2 tours of duty in Iraq. News Channel 3's Philippe Chagall is in Bermuda Dunes right now with our live mobile newsroom with Captain Dennis Sadorra. Philippe.
Yeah, and Captain Dennis Sadorra actually left the Air Force and transferred to the U.S. Army after the September 11th attacks because he wanted to fight in Iraq. He served 2 tours there, the first in 2005, the second in 2008. He was a part of the surge. Captain Sadorra, thanks for joining us. Thanks for allowing us into your home. You heard the president. He said that combat troops in Iraq will leave, but the commitment to Iraq will not. What did you think of what the president said tonight?
Yeah, I appreciated that speech. It's great that our American boys are coming home, and you know, I know there's Afghanistan operations going on, but it's good to know that there's closure to the Iraq war and still be able to support the Iraqi people, but at the same time, you know, get our guys back. And yeah, I really appreciated that speech.
But combat troops will leave, but we both know that the U.S. has the largest and most expensive embassy in Iraq, and costing millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. We're going to have a presence there for a long time.
Yes, I've actually been to the Green Zone and been to the embassy, and I've seen the operations there. And yes, there's a large force of Americans and multinational forces there. And you know, that's what it's going to take to support the Iraqi people. You know, that's what's needed.
You're also a school counselor at Hoover Elementary School in Indio, and you've been there for 10 years. How difficult was that for you to leave school, go to war, come back, go to war, come back? You also have 2 young sons, daughters, been married for 13 years. How difficult is that transition?
It's almost a juggling act. I mean, you just know when you're called, you go and do your duty, you come back. You know, and it's always great to see smiling faces, whether it's from my own children or to see those students at Hoover. So yeah, there was a lot there, a lot to think about, but you know, the main thing was going and completing my mission there with the Army and our troops, and then getting home to this family and this community.
The United States and coalition forces have been accused of ethnically cleansing Iraq, separating the Sunni, Shia, and the Kurds, basically segregating the three Islamic sects. Did you see that?
No, actually, when I was there, I saw we were more supportive if we knew that one certain sect was going to get attacked. We were actually there as a security force to make sure that they weren't touched by another party. So, yeah, I actually saw, something opposite of that.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us, and thanks again for allowing us into your home. Obviously, right now, as the president said, they're not going to forget about Iraq, but now the focus turns full bore on Afghanistan and Operation Enduring Freedom. Reporting live in Bermuda Dunes, Philippe Jagal, News Channel 3 HD.
Okay, very good to hear a reaction from someone who's been there not once but twice. Thank you, Philippe.
Thank you, Philippe.
Well, a desert soldier, having served 2 tours in Iraq, has seen the ups and downs of this war. Bermuda Dunes resident Captain Dennis Sadorra shares his experiences in that war-torn country on this historic day. He says he personally trained some Iraqi soldiers and believes the local army there is ready to take over. News Channel 3's Philippe Jagal is in Bermuda Dunes with our live mobile newsroom with more on this. Philippe?
Karen, he was inspired by the tragic events of 9/11. He was already enlisted in the Air Force, but he transferred to the U.S. Army and then served 2 tours, the first in 2005 as an ordnance officer and then in 2008 in special operations. Captain Dennis Sadorra joins us now. Thanks a lot for allowing us into your home. First of all, President Barack Obama talked about the transition from from American troops to the Iraqi citizens. Are the Iraqis ready?
From what I had seen over there, it looked like they were pretty confident, and it was going to be a good transition. A lot of the training, their tactical operations, I think, they had it down. So it was just a matter of doing it as a routine, and we were pretty much backing up and letting them do the job. So I'm very confident that they can do this mission.
Your father fought in Vietnam, your grandfather in World War II, your sister is a lieutenant for the Air Force. You fought 2 tours in Iraq. Do you feel like your service is well served? Do you feel like the job has been done there?
Yes, I do. I do feel that it was great to serve. It was very tough. No kidding. There was a lot. I think I've went through a lifetime of experiences that no one can come close to. But I'm glad there's some closure there, and I'm very proud of my family. And it's just good to be home and be back in our community here in the Coachella Valley.
One of America's heroes, Captain Dennis Sadorra, thanks for allowing us into your home.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And Captain Sadorra is also a school counselor at Hoover Elementary School in India, so not only teaching his sons and daughters in the home, but also many young kids outside of his home. Reporting live in Bermuda Dunes, Philippe Jagal, News Channel 3 HD.
All right, Philippe, good to hear from the captain. Thank you.
An active soldier raising his family here in the desert watched the president's speech live tonight on his couch in Bermuda Dunes.
Captain Dennis Sadorra served multiple tours of duty in Iraq. He says all of the hard work that he and his fellow soldiers put into Operation Iraqi Freedom will pay off now for generations. News Channel 3's Philippe Jagal watched the address with Captain Sadorra, and Philippe is here now with more.
And Captain Sadorra's eyes were glued to the television. He paid very close attention to every word President Obama said. Sadorra said the speech hit home. Some 9 years ago, he transferred out of the Air Force to join the U.S. Army following the attacks on 9/11. He wanted to serve in Iraq, and he did, twice. The sights and sounds of Operation Iraqi Freedom from a soldier's eyes and ears.
I have some incoming frags here.
Captain Dennis Sadorra documenting another day in Iraq. The U.S. Army detonating confiscated weapons and improvised explosive devices, or IEDs, before they cause any harm to people passing by. This plume of dirt and smoke seen 10 miles away.
My first deployment was in Balad, and they called the place Mortar Reedaville. I mean, we were constantly getting rocketed and fired on.
But Sadorra says the streets were safer when he returned to Iraq for the second and last time in 2008.
You could see that there was less activity on the insurgent side, because I'd go through intel reports, and you could see that there wasn't as much activity.
Sadorra watched every minute of President Obama's speech marking the end of U.S. combat missions in Iraq. The president said ending this war is not only in Iraq's interest, but also America's own. Sadorra says he is proud of the work he and his fellow soldiers did there.
You could see there was a real appreciation there, whether it was giving them supplies or teaching them or instructing them on how to how to get their country back. So yeah, real proud of what's happened.
Captain Sadorra's first tour spanned 11 months in 2005. He served as an ordnance officer. He then returned to Iraq in 2008 for 7 months, his final tour. Here's a photo of he and General David Petraeus, the current commanding general in Afghanistan.
And he was also a 101st Airborne Commander at one time, so when he saw my combat patch from my first mission, right away he was like, who 101st, so yeah, great general.
Sadorra also comes from a military family. His father served in Vietnam, both grandfathers in World War II. His sister recently became a lieutenant for the U.S. Air Force.
I don't expect my 2 sons to go to war, but I will teach them the same values. If it's in their path to go to war and it's their choice, so be it. But either way, I'll be proud of them.
And America is proud of him. Captain Sadorra is also a school counselor at Hoover Elementary School in Indio. Today was his first day back in class. He is still active in the Army, but is in the process of retiring.
An American hero right in our own backyard.
Yeah, he was absolutely a pleasure to talk with. We actually had a chance to have dinner with him tonight, with him and his wife Dahlia, and just listening to all of the stories he had about Iraq and how he's able to transfer what he learned in Iraq to his job at Hoover Elementary School was staggering. So it was an absolutely great evening, and it was a pleasure meeting his family.
Was he satisfied with what the president was talking about when he talked about people strongly opposed the war and people supported the war, but they all supported the troops? Was he satisfied with that?
Well, right, because remember, his father served in Vietnam, and he was telling us at dinner how when his father returned from war, the soldiers were spat on, and it was an ugly way for them to return. And when he came back to the United States, they had a big celebration when he got to the airport. So he feels the support, and they understand that what they did in Iraq may have been controversial, but you have to separate the soldiers from the political end, and they say they did a job well done, and he feels that way.
All right.
Thank you, Philippe.
Thank you, Philippe. Great story.